All right, Israel. So, Most High in Christ bless somebody.
Most High in Christ bless you too.
All right. So all praises to the Most High. So I know we got a short amount of time. So let's jump in and start swimming. Let's open up to Matthew chapter 23. So the name of the day's lesson is Identifying Scribes and Pharisees. Why is it important to be able to identify who scribes and Pharisees are? Youngblood, why do you think it's important? Huh?
So you can know who to follow.
So that you can know who to follow? Okay. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so you can know who to follow. You can know who not to follow. Okay. Let's see. St. John 10. What's up, bro? Judah and Ashley. How y'all doing? Shalom. Excuse me. St. John 10 and verse 5. Read that.
This is St. John chapter 10 and verse 5. And a stranger will they not follow.
And a stranger will they not follow. So you're supposed to follow. You're supposed to follow any and everybody because they got a book, they got a Bible, because they got a mitre, because they got a garment. Nope. A stranger will they not follow. Okay. Read on.
But will flee from him.
But will flee. That means leave. So while they leaving, of course they'll be saying bad things about you. They'll be saying things of hatred about you while you're leaving. You understand? Things of hatred about you and against you. Don't let that diminish your faith. Don't let that make you feel some type of way. Israelites out on the street, they're walking around, and you have men out there that are spewing out madness and saying things to them. You're supposed to flee from them. Don't feel bad because you leave. They're not understanding that they're doing more damage than they're doing help. They're not helping at all. They're actually damaging the person that they're trying to give out a message to. So you're supposed to show them your back. You're supposed to flee from them, man. Get away from them. Okay? And at the same time, justifying themselves with what? With the famous proverb. Where's that at that Israel that they always use? The wicked fleeth. Yeah, Proverbs 28 and 1. Not really not understanding. What was it talking about?
This is Proverbs chapter 28 and verse 1. The wicked flee when no man pursue it.
Right, the wicked flee. So they'll be saying that to you. The wicked flee when no man pursue it. Go ahead.
But the righteous are bold as a lion.
But the righteous is what?
Bold as a lion.
Bold as a lion. So now, go to Malachi 1. They turn the sword against brothers and sisters and call you the wicked. What's up, brother? So long. Okay. Book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 4. Listen to this explanation pertaining to this thing. Go ahead.
This is the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
So now, when you read verse 2, it says, I have loved you, said the Lord. Verse 3, and I hated Esau. And Esau said in verse 4, we are jacked up, we are impoverished. They're not impoverished. But we will return and build the desolate places. Go ahead.
Thus said the Lord of hosts.
So now we believe that the truth behind this statement came, during the Dark Ages when the Israelites ruled. Okay? And Esau went up under. And they said, well, we're going to regroup, we're going to come back. And then that's what the Renaissance is all about. They said they claimed that they were impoverished. So what do? They turned to great wickedness, to great heights. Okay, so now finish.
They shall build, but I will throw down. And they shall call them the border of wickedness.
Who is they? The prophets are supposed to call them the border of wickedness. Not your own people, man. Not your own people. Now go to Titus. Titus chapter 3 and verse 1.
It's the book of Titus, chapter 3 and verse 1.
So y'all brothers and sisters, y'all keep your head up, man, when y'all running to strangers that don't know this book the way that they supposed to. They don't, because they don't know the Most High. Okay, go ahead.
Titus 3 and 1.
All right.
Put them in mind to be subject to principalities.
Stop. Who is the them? The them are the Israelites that in sin. Are we supposed to look at them like you're wicked? They're already in sin. But we supposed to have their spirit to know that the Most High could possibly be what? Choosing and building and calling these people. So you can't deal with them no type of way. Regardless of what type of sin you see them in. Because the truth be told that it ain't nobody. We got worse sins. You understand? We got sins that make us look really, really terrible. And if the light was on our sin in that time, we would look the same way that the brother or sister is looking when we're standing out and we're prophesying. We're standing out and we're teaching and we're correcting them. So our job is to put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers. Because when they're subject to principalities and powers, they lead from breaking the laws into what? Into keeping the laws. You're going to call your own people the border of wickedness when the scriptures already told you who the wicked is. Yes, Israel is in sin, and it's a lot of them. A lot of us that's in sin. But you can't tell who going to wake up and who not. So you have to have a general approach to where you're going to deal with everybody according to the Spirit of the Most High and not according to your own mindset, which is the spirit of wrath and anger. That's why James brought it out, who walked with Christ, and said what? Wrath work what? Not the righteousness of the Most High. So if anytime a brother is being wrathful, that's not the Most High. That's that man. Okay? Put them in mind to be subject into what? Principalities and powers. Go ahead.
To obey magistrates.
To obey magistrates. So this is a doctrine that has to be taught when you're out there. So brothers that are doing that, you're doing a good job. If you're teaching them to obey what? Magistrates. What's a magistrate? Court system. Things that's going to keep you out of jail, out of prison. Things that's going to keep you from getting ticketed. Brothers driving around, no insurance. Yo, brother, get insurance. Brothers driving around with no driver's license. Yo, brother, how you own a car you got no license? Instead of being in subjection, you say, I'm sovereign. Come on, man. Be in subjection like the scriptures say. That's just going to get you, what is that? Boloed. And to every good work. Verse 2.
To speak evil of no man.
Right there. To speak evil of no man. So then that's showing you that when you look at the children of Israel, you're not supposed to be looking at them like they the border of wickedness. Yeah, they doing wickedness. So when you see them doing wickedness, now you got to teach them against that sin. And if they don't want to hear it, then what do? You let them go. Because they didn't want to hear it. Right? Everybody understand that? Right. 1 Corinthians 7. We'll finish. We'll get that. 1 Corinthians 7. Y'all try to guess where I'm going. Use the spirit inside of you to try and guess where I'm going. What precepts can we pull? I just talked about if they don't want to hear it, let them go. That's a hint there. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. And what? First Corinthians 7 and verse 15.
This is 1 Corinthians 7 and verse 15.
Go ahead.
But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart.
If the unbelieving leave, if they depart, let them depart. They're unbelieving. Never says spew words, madness behind them. Don't subject yourself unto that. And you brothers not to do that. You'll cuss them out, they're going away. God gonna kill you. He gonna cut your head off. You gonna burn. You nigga B-I-T-C-H. Y'all ain't S-H-I-T out here. No, the scriptures say they don't believe, let them leave. He didn't say cuss them out. That's the work of the devil, not the Father. If I understand that? So, are you going to feel bad if somebody do you like that? Yeah, you ain't going to like that they did it, but because if they yelling and screaming and cussing, is that going to rattle your faith and make you feel that maybe something is wrong with me and because they're saying it like this and they mad? No. Don't feel discouraged. That's all blaspheme the truth, because it's people like that that get the truth blasphemed. It's people like that that make other people be like, I don't know if I want to be a Hebrew Israelite anymore. You're a Hebrew Israelite whether you want to be it or not. You're an Israelite because it's in your blood. It's in your genes, your genetics. It's in your fiber. It's in the spirit. The spirit in you is Israel. Just because somebody offended you, you can't. You gonna kill yourself because you offended? You gonna commit a suicide? You know, you gonna commit suicide because you get offended? You gonna step out of yourself? You gonna step out of yourself because somebody said something to you? Piss off. They gotta piss off. They got to get on. But you don't leave your heritage, your culture, your way of life, your belief, your faith. The Father gave this heritage to us, not the person that's yelling and disrespectful. The book of James. No. Where we at? Because I know.
First Corinthians 7.
So we finished that part, right? James. So this is identifying scribes and Pharisees. They do this bugged out stuff. James chapter 3 and verse 13. No, James chapter 3 and check this out. 8. I'll read and give it to you. So James 3 and 8 says, but the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil full of deadly poison. Therewith we bless God, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, we bless the Father, even the Father, and therewith we do what? We curse men. Which are made after what? The similitude of who? The Most High. So when they do that, they're not seeing the Most High in you, or they're not even seeing that the Most High can even possibly capable be in you. That person is not dealing with the Most High. They're not dealing with the Most High. Because they're supposed to be trying to look for the Most High in you. And if they don't, if their eyes are not satisfied, then what should they start doing? If they don't see the Most High in you, what should they start doing? Get Titus 2. This is what any brother or sister is supposed to be doing. When you don't see the Most High in somebody, then you know that this person lacks some teaching, some learning, some understanding. Got it?
Titus chapter 2 and verse 11. For the grace of God that bringeth salvation hath appeared to all men.
This is what they to do. Read.
Teaching us.
They're supposed to start teaching us. They're supposed to start teaching you. Not bless the Father, curse men. Bless the Father, curse men. That's not how it goes. Go ahead.
That denying ungodliness.
They're supposed to teach you to deny ungodliness. If you're going to stand there and listen, then they're to teach you to deny ungodliness. They're not to curse you. They're not to disrespect you. The choices that you made from a world of understanding that was presented unto you. At that point, it's supposed to say, hey, man, that's deceitful right there. That lust deceived you, and that lust got you doing that. It's time some of the worst things that we run into is homosexuality on both ends. And then we sit and we talk and tell people, and they'll be sitting there just listening, wanting to hear the scriptures. How? The way that we present it to them, man. The way that we present it. Because we're sitting there telling them, listen, the choice that you made, you was deceived into making that choice and the decision by the environment. But from the beginning, that's unacceptable. Why is that? Because the Father meant for you to be, to reproduce. How could you reproduce if you're a man dealing with another man? Because when you die and you have no seed, then your life is stained and your name is gone. Did you think about that? He's scratching their head like, I didn't think about that. And that is correct. So what's got you doing that? A deceitful lust. The environment, spirits, demons. You know what I'm saying? So the scriptures teach us, when they opposing themselves, teach them to deny ungodly and worldly lust. You don't smite them. Any brother that you see smiting another brother with the scriptures is the devil and the deceiver and Satan. Flee from him, man. The hell with he quoting the scriptures that he's using wrong. The scriptures say that a righteous man use knowledge aright. You misquoting scriptures, don't know what they mean, to hurt and destroy your own people. You can't do that, man. You can't do that. And don't let somebody do that to you. Walk clean away from their behind. Yahushua ignored these men. He ignored them. The whole conversation they had with him, or he had with them, he had one response. If you ain't saying you go first. You gonna kill her, you cast the first stone. He didn't say nothing, he didn't answer no question, he didn't say nothing. So for now in the General Assembly, we see Negroes in the street, we ain't answering not one question. You don't question us. We the teachers on this set. You don't get the privilege of speaking to us now, of hearing our voice. We don't answer you no question at all. And the only way we'll be there is if our camp stuff is there. Then we ain't going nowhere. But other than that, we're going to leave them standing there in the dust, looking like a damn fool, cussing at the wind, just like the scriptures say. Come on. Finish.
That we should live soberly.
That we should live what? Soberly. So we was at James, right? We go back. We was in James. Did we go back to Titus?
No, you went to Titus 4.
All right. James. So now we're at James chapter 3, and we're dealing with the tongue. The tongue, verse 3 and 8, the tongue can no man tame. You can't tame it without the Spirit of the Most High in Christ. If a person don't have the Spirit of the Most High in Christ, their tongue ain't tamed. Their behavior is not under control. It is an unruly evil. That means wicked. And gonna be rude. Full of deadly poison. The stuff that they say gonna come out, man. It's gonna come out, and it's gonna flow like water. What's that? We ain't going to it, but Ecclesiastes, is that 23 and something about the opprobrious words. You could tell the scribes and Pharisees because they have opprobrious words. They will never be reproved. Opprobrious man knows it's like straight wicked words. They'll be calling you out your name and everything. So, verse 9, it says, therewith bless we the Father, God even the Father, and therewith curse we men. That's how you know, scribes and Pharisees. They bless the Most High. They tell, I serve the Most High. Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Higher, show you higher. They call the Most High, but with their brothers or sisters, very disrespectful. And it says, which are men. So you're going to curse men, but they made after the similitude of God. So in other words, you're supposed to see God work in your people. If you can't see God in your people, you're not looking hard enough. You're supposed to be trying to come on some type of ground with them if possible, with everything that lies within you. And if you exhaust every avenue, that's when we went to Corinthians 7 and 15. If they depart, do what? Let them depart. Let them depart. So nothing you can do about it. They didn't receive it. Shake the dust. Shake the dust. Okay? So now, James 4 and 10, out of the same mouth proceed blessings and curses. My brother, these things are what? Not so to be. Do y'all see that, man? So whenever you see somebody like that, that's wrong. Everybody understand that? That's wrong. We're at James chapter 3 and 11 now. So now it want to make common sense to you in case somebody have that spirit. You battling with that spirit. And you want to justify using precepts why you want to deal with somebody some type of way. Doeth a fountain send forth at the same place sweet water and bitter? No, it doesn't. This is talking about a real stream. It's not talking about Esau's water fountain. You have natural waters. They're dealing with natural water. Some natural waters, when it says bitter, meaning, sweet water means that it's good to drink. It's drinkable. I'm not saying it's got sugar in it. It's good to drink. But then you got bitter. You're like, ooh, it tastes like fish. Make you frown. Like this some fish water. This water is nasty. Oh, like metals or something in it. You get what I'm saying? One drinking spot don't possess both of them. It's impossible. One or the other. So it's trying to tell you, brothers, One or the other. Not both of them. Build, turn around this way, son. It's this way. So this is where this word is. Break your spirit in. You know, like you break a new pair of shoes in. You put them shoes in. You know, you put them shoes on and they snug. And they hurt your toe, but they just kind of like tight fitted or form fitted. And then after wearing them a half a dozen times, they turn out to be really nice. You break them in. Break your spirit in to be a type of fountain that can bring forth sweet water. Don't break your spirit to be the type of person that has the bitterness in you, because you can't deal with the people of the Lord in that type of spirit. Christ ain't supporting you. The Father is not supporting you. 1 Corinthians 5. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 10. Or 9 and 10.
This is 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 9.
Jump down to 11.
Verse
That's
11.
what the point, yeah.
But now I have written unto you not to keep company. If any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer.
Or a railer. You know what a railer is? Somebody that speaks very loud with disapproval of your behavior. Rail. Okay? Go ahead.
Or a drunkard.
Or a drunkard. Go ahead.
Or an extortioner. With such an one, know not to eat.
That's right. The Lord said, with such a one, know not to eat. So if somebody's spewing madness and death threats out at you, that they're railing on you. They're railing on you. Christ and the Most High does not support that type of behavior. Okay? So now, let's go back. James chapter 3 and verse 12. Can the fig tree, my brethren, bear olive berries? Either a vine figs, so can no fountain both yield salt water and fresh water. So no brother can possess the Spirit. You can't do them both. So you're not to blame or accuse somebody and say, well, hey, you made me like this. Sometimes we like to do that, point the finger. You made me like this. No, I understand that maybe somebody provoked you. But even being provoked, now we're going away a little bit. I'm going to get back online. But if somebody provoke you, then you still have to examine yourself and say, well, I did this. I did this. And I know that that's not me. I'm not supposed to do this. So now let me watch out so that, Shalom, brother. So let me watch out so that I'm not displaying this type of behavior, because the Father don't want me to be like that. The Most High don't want me to be like that. Now this person, they provoke me, they do this, they do that. Now I gotta learn how to deal with them and stop them so that they're not doing what? So that they're not provoking me. I gotta use words to say, no, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? That makes me, you know, what is it when you challenged or when you provoked or you know, whatever. You know, everybody should understand what I'm saying. You know, you got to let the person know I don't like that. Okay. But verse 13, read that.
Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom.
Are we seeing this precept? Scribes and Pharisees don't have the ability to do that. The Bible says that men supposed to have what type of conversation? What's that word in front of conversation? What that describes the way that they're supposed to behave. Good. Oh yeah. You ever felt like you had a good conversation with somebody? I had a good conversation. with them. What's a good conversation like? What's a good conversation like? Isn't it when two people get to dialect? Isn't it when somebody understands? When they swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath, slow to anger. Nobody got anger. We just had a conversation. If they saw it differently, then they produced a cause. If they wasn't able to, then you created a point and prayed and said, okay, well, brother, listen, I hope you see it. That's a good conversation. Scribes and Pharisees don't do that. They're not capable of having a good conversation with you because they're too busy doing what? Remember when we read 1 Corinthians 5, they're too busy being covetous. We had James chapter 3 and 13. Who was a wise man endued with knowledge? Endued means to be empowered with the knowledge. The knowledge is of the knowledge of the will of the Most High in Christ. It says, among you men, let him show out of a good conversation his works, his actions, his conversation, his actions. It says with meekness of wisdom. Seriousness about what he's saying. And it stems forth a good conversation. And it's seeking what? The health and welfare of the being, of the person. And also trying to establish what? Peace between you and the Father. Okay? Read.
Verse 14. But if ye have bitter envy and strife in your hearts, glory not.
That means don't celebrate. Don't celebrate. If you have bitter envying, what is it to have bitter envying? Most of the time when people see you, there's two forms of envy. Okay? It's camp banging. That's a form of envy right there. Camp banging. They see you on the street and they rush you. They have bitter envy. Oh, you doing the work. Or they see you in sin and they say, oh man, they having a good time right there. You laughing without a care in the world. You ain't keeping no commandments. You smoking, you drinking, you just finished food, you don't have a care, you don't have no cares about nothing. You don't have that yoke that's upon you. And a lot of men, they approach our people and they destroy our people because of that. They see them like that. Shalom says. They see them like that. You're not supposed to have bitter envying in your heart. The scriptures say that envy not oppression. When we see, or envy not a sinner. Envy not a sinner. You don't know what his end gonna be. So we're out there, say for instance, we're out there on Saturday nights after the Sabbath. But you know that they didn't just pop up there at that very hour. They've been there for quite a while. They're walking past, brothers, they got girls. Girls don't want to stop. They going from shop to shop. They laughing, they giggling. They had a few drinks. You had flat meat. Bologna sandwich, chicken bologna, turkey bologna. You sat here for hours listening to the scriptures. You're single. But not them. Not them. They got their best bud. They got 2-3 girls. They just did whatever. You sitting there watching that, man. And you wonder why I can't do that. That's bitter envying. You can't be jealous of the streets of the world because that's sin. And the Lord said He's going to judge each and every last person for all those sins. So when you see ambulances going this way and police going that way, and you're hearing about, those are all people whose number came to the service. And they all was breaking the Father's commandments, doing whatever they wanted to do. So while you were under strict, like it says in Ezra, strict commandment, what you should do, them, they ignored it. But you didn't ignore it. You caught an ear. And you retained it. It stuck with you. And then you start doing it. The problem is, don't look back. So the scripture says, if you have bitter envying and strife, you're going to argue, you're going to go back and forth in your hearts. Meaning, it's going to come out and you're going to deal like that with people. The scriptures say, glory not. Don't be proud. Don't be confident. Don't feel like, oh, I'm in the truth. I got it going on. No, you don't. You're not in the truth. You don't have it going on. And that's why it says, and lie not against the truth. You understand? What is it to lie against the truth? By saying that what you're doing is of the Lord. That's a lie. So when you see brothers out there and they like that, they're in that spirit, those brothers are lying. You have every right to leave them. Okay? Let's get that precept for them in the midst of this. We got to come back. Proverbs. Yes. Proverbs 14 and 7. If it's freezing, if you got Wi-Fi, turn your data off and leave the Wi-Fi on only. It's probably trying to fight over, custody of a signal. All right, read it.
This is Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 7. Go from the presence of a foolish man.
Go from the presence of a foolish man. So if you see somebody doing this, the Bible gives you the authority to turn your back and walk away. Go from the presence of a foolish man. Go ahead.
When thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge.
Right, so if they're not dealing right, the scriptures say leave that person. Don't stand there. Do you know that people in the world, we see them walking by, they're actually applying this. they actually applying this. We just happen to put them all together because most of them walk by.
Yeah.
But when they see men spewing out words of madness, they're like, I'm not coming over there talking to you, man. I'm not coming over there talking to you. You're going to put me on Front Street. You're going to say this. You're talking in the microphone. See, the scriptures say do what? Go from him. All right, one more time.
Proverbs 14 and 7. Go from the presence of a foolish man when thou perceivest not in him the lips of knowledge.
Right, any questions? All right, St. John 8. St. John 8 and verse 1.
This is St. John chapter 8 and verse 1.
Hey, shalom, sis. Sister Carolyn, how you doing? Hey, sis. What's up, Sheila? Go ahead, brother.
Yahushua went unto the Mount of Olives.
Right, Yahushua, that's how you pronounce Christ's name in the Hebrew. In the Greek, it says Jesus. In the Hebrew, it says Yahushua. Yahushua, he went unto the Mount of Olives. Go ahead.
And early in the morning, he came again into the temple. And all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them.
So notice this. The people, just regular people, they came to him, and he taught them. He used words. Read.
Verse 3. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had sat her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery.
So now the same brother that was once buried the chatterbox talking, Scribes and Pharisees came unto him and they said, Master, this woman is taken in adultery in the very act. Read.
Verse 5. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned.
Right. So I'm not even sure. I doubt if they was yelling in his face. But what did they do? But Moses in the law says such should be stoned. Go ahead.
But what sayest thou?
They asked him a question. What sayest thou? What do you say about this thing? Go ahead.
This they said, tempting him.
So he knew this, that they were what? Tempting him. They coming sideways, right? Go ahead.
That they might have to accuse him.
Right. So when brothers will do that, they'll be asking you questions so that they can have something to accuse you in the doctrine, in the law. Say, oh, see, you said this, and you said that, and you said this, and you said that. That's what they did to Christ. Read.
But Yahushua stooped down.
He did what?
Stooped down.
He stooped down. Read.
And with his finger wrote on the ground.
So he completely ignored them. He ignored them. That's right. He didn't ignore them. Why didn't he show them the back and leave? He was set up teaching. He was set up teaching. People were there. He was set up teaching. That's why he didn't leave. But let him have been on his way. He'd have showed them the back, man. Go ahead.
As though he heard them not.
As though he heard them not. So he straight ignored them. He straight ignored the scribes and Pharisees. So when you see scribes and Pharisees and they disrespect you like that, ignore them. Leave. You got to stand there and listen to them Negroes deal with you like that. Just leave. We gave too much attention. Now, after I thought about it, I'm sitting there trying to be a brother to some murdering hypocrites. And I was like, damn, man, we should have just walked off. Just completely left. Go ahead.
Verse 7. So when they continued asking him.
So they continued. They didn't stop. They were very pressuring. Go ahead.
He lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground.
And again he ignored them. And again he ignored them. So you see how Christ dealt with the situation? Now, he didn't sit up there and play with people, go back and forth with them and so on and so forth. That's something that we do. But through the Spirit of the Father, it's going to stop. Don't argue with nobody. Everybody understand that? Don't argue with them. Let them say what they're going to say. Okay, go ahead. Where you at?
To add to the point that you made, I want to get John 16. Because a point that you made, you call them murderers as well. And with that evil spirit that they have on them, that's exactly what type of men they are. And that's exactly the way that the Scribes and Pharisees dealt as well. So it's John chapter 16 and sorry about that.
This is St. John chapter 16 and verse 1. These things have I spoken unto you, that ye should not be offended. They shall put you out of the synagogues. Yea, the time cometh that whosoever killeth you will think that he doeth God's service.
See that? So that's another reason why we avoid, foolish men like that, modern day scribes and Pharisees, because they're very contentious and they burn hatred. And if that was a solitary situation or a solitary place, they would have sought to lay hands. They were very wrathful.
So we're not talking about the incident. We're speaking in general. So speak in general. Okay.
So people like that, we have to be aware, because just like the scribes and Pharisees dealt and did in the time when Christ walked the earth, it's many stories in the scriptures where they actually sought to lay hands on them. But the only reason that they didn't or they couldn't was because it was always believers around. It was always followers and people that were learning. And in solitary situations, they had and did that to him. And ultimately, they did do that. So that's why, you know, when we in positions like that, you know, the scriptures say these men, they think that they do it God's service. So like, so men will be praising the Lord while they're doing evil and thinking that they're doing the righteous thing. So that's another reason why we go from the presence of foolish men and not entertain their foolishness and their strife, because we'll find ourselves in a compromising situation.
All right. Let's go back. Where was we at? So James chapter 3 and verse 15.
This is James chapter 3 and verse 15. This wisdom descended not from above.
So when we see this, the scriptures say that's not from above. You got to know how to identify what's right and what's wrong amongst Israel, brothers, you know, among teachers. Somebody dealing like that, that's not of the scriptures. Okay. Go ahead.
But is earthly.
But is what?
Earthly.
Earthly. Meaning they learned it from men. That's what it means by it's earthly. They learned it from men and not from, they don't have the power that they say that they have. Well, I get this from so on and so forth. Okay. And brothers will rep men opposed to the Most High. Did you hear that go out at that time, 30 years or something? Yeah. The brothers they will rep men opposed to the Most High. That shows you that it says this wisdom is earthly. Go ahead.
Sensual.
Sensual meaning personal, full of feelings, personal. Go ahead.
Devilish.
Demonic, evil spirits. All right. Go ahead.
Verse 16. For where envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work.
Right. So what envying and strife is? Jealousy. I tell you, they'll be jealous. They'll be jealous of the sinner. Or they'll be envious and jealousy of your righteousness. Because somebody that's not envying your wickedness, because you're in wickedness, you're not trying to get them to sin. They'll just simply admonish you and warn you. And if you don't want to hear it, then they'll let you go. They'll say, okay, this person, they didn't receive it. I let him go. He made a choice. Where envy and strife is, there is what? Confusion in every evil work. Okay? You know, a brother will be causing confusion and dealing wickedness. He'll be working wickedness. Don't let somebody deal like that with you. Okay? Because when you're in this for the long haul, you're gonna run across. You're gonna run across, you know, other people. You're gonna run across Scribes and Pharisees. How can we relate to this to us as well? How can we relate to this to us? Right? Because you ain't been in their steps, but you walk around. You could be at the local store with fringes on, and then just run into the Scribes and Pharisees, and then it's on. And then everything that we're talking about, you're gonna be able to understand. Because they're going to tempt you. They're going to question you. Or they might, you know, be trying to, you a female, they'll be trying to sleep with you. And if not, they'll just question you and try and catch you up in what you believe and bring in all of these things. That's how you relate with it. When you see that, then what the scriptures say, you just leave them alone. Because that's not how they're supposed to deal with you. verse 13, it says, the second precept, let him show out of a good conscience. A good conversation, his works. Let him show out of a good conversation his work. So he's supposed to strike a good conversation with you. If he's going to conversate with you about common ground, about what we believe. Okay? So now, finish that.
Verse 17. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable.
Right, the wisdom that is above is first pure, meaning you don't have to mix it with anything. You know, sometimes you'll hear me say something and you'll hear me say in its original content. So you have to keep it pure. And then I'd have to let you know that I'm informing you that, listen, I'm relating it to a situation outside of its original content so that we can correlate it with an event today, a situation that, you know, that you could see tomorrow or something yesterday. Okay? So, how is this? Tries you by the word, you can't rule your spirit, not all I can but defend in the word. Would we consider ourselves to be a scribe? Don't consider yourself to be a scribe. You defending the word, you don't have to defend the word. The word speaks for itself. All you got to do is speak the word. Christ said, my sheep hear my voice. So that's not something to go back and forth with. Either you're going to listen to it or you're not going to listen to it. That's the choice. You want it or you don't. Okay? You defending the faith is just, okay, I believe in it, so I'm speaking it. And I'm not going to accept anything other than what's written in the scriptures. But as far as being hostile or getting offended at somebody else's choice, that's foolish right there. How you gonna get offended at somebody else's choice? That would be just like the mailman mad as hell because he come and your electric bill and disconnection notice. He's like, what is this? I gotta let her know. Understand? Like, open the door. Open this damn door. Excuse my language. Open the door now. Do you know that you finna get disconnected up in here? You understand? You're like, hey man, this is my house. Don't I have a choice? You know, I'm gonna pay it when I get the money. He mad because what? You got disconnecting on the electric. You can't do that. You like, get my shit. Slam the door. You just gonna take the bill, man, and slam the door. Or ball it up and throw it back at him or something. So we're just delivering this mail, man. We delivering these precepts, these scriptures. So you deliver the scriptures, we have no right to be mad at you. It's a choice. Choose wisely. That's it. You get mad at you. You want to get hit by lightning? That's on you. You want to get a disease? That's on you. You want to get jacked up by the Most High? That's on you. You want to get sick? That's on you. You got to be the sick one. You going to bear it. Not me. I'm just a messenger. I'm going to tell you what he said. Yo, you know the Lord said that you can't do that. Oh, F you, nigga. Oh, okay, sis. I'm sorry. I didn't even mean to offend you. Peace. Go on. The Most High, he know you and treated his servants like that. He going to deal with you for that, too. Double transgression. Because you didn't hear it. Because James 3:17, the wisdom, it must be pure, then peaceable. We supposed to be trying to deal with each other peaceable, man. I talk to you, I'm trying to bring peace unto you. Because us being real servants of the Father and Christ, we know that what type of God is the Most High. He's a man of war. He loves judgment. So with the Father being a man of war and loving judgment, what's going to happen to you, man? Oh, you setting yourself up for a fall. And you setting yourself up for a fall. The Lord is the king of horror. The king of horror. When he put you to death and you get in the spirit world, he's going to torment you some more. You're going to wish that you had an opportunity to be back in the flesh and walk like under remote control, very peacefully. Yes, sir. No, sir. No, ma'am. Okay, brother. Shalom. Be a soldier. You're going to wish you could have been a straight and narrow soldier. It's too late now. It's too late. You messed that up. Now you're in the spirit world. You live once before the judgment. You get one time to do it. And some of you, you know what you're doing? You're just taking your opportunity and just pouring it out. Just pouring it out. Some of you try to be slick and do like this. I don't want to pour it out too fast. You pour some more out. You pouring your life down the drain. Because guess what? The Bible is real. The Bible is true. It's not made up. It's not man-made. Man didn't make the prophecies up. He only spoke them. Back to James, chapter 3. So it has to be peaceable. If it ain't peaceable, you got the right to leave. Gentle. People prophesying to you, teaching you. They should be. They have to be respectable. That's what gentle is. Respectable. You have to consider your level of what? Understanding. You have to consider your level of understanding. Let's use that when it's to help us understand what it means by gentle. Because everybody going to be babyfying you, treating you like a baby, but they're going to know your level of understanding. So therefore, when they deal with you, they're going to deal with you in a fashion to where, okay, you're not going to feel smitten, beat up, offended. And what? It says, easy to be entreated. That means the stuff that you're saying, that means they have to make it to where you understand, man. Do everybody get that? Know your rights while you walking in this truth. Because if not, you could get taken. You'd be hurt. You'd be confused. You know what people say about us? Because we follow these guidelines. If I have went away from the guidelines of the scriptures with the book open, listen very closely. If I have went aside from the guidelines of the scriptures with the book open, let me know. But yet they call us Christians. Christians is Christianity, come from Christianity. That's what they have in mind. They don't have the Christian, the derogatory mindset to where they call the apostles first. That no, they say, oh, well, those brothers, they in Christianity. Because we keep this guideline that you're reading. Guess what? This is the guideline of the book that you follow. This is, or they supposed to, this is the guideline of the Spirit. These guidelines come from the Most High. We follow the Most High in Christ. We don't follow Christianity. And although they don't follow Christianity, a lot of brothers on the street don't follow Christianity. They don't follow the Most High in Christ either. They follow Satan. That's why it says in the 15th verse that wisdom come from the earth, meaning they learn it from man, personal, and it's devilish. And because they cannot identify with the Most High, because they don't know the Most High for lacking the commandments. Therefore, they can't know that you brothers, when y'all dealing with them like that, is of the Most High. And it's strange to them. So they say, oh. And the only thing that they do know is the world of Christianity. They say, oh, it must come from that. It must come from that. I am saying God and the Messiah, Christ. So when I'm saying the Most High and, I'm not saying and, I'm saying and. The Most High and Christ. The God that created the earth, the heavens, and all therein, and His only begotten Son. All right? So, it has to be easy to be understood. Brothers teaching on the streets, and they trying to help you. They're supposed to help you to understand what? Sin. Principalities, and all of that stuff that we read in the book of Titus, right? While not speaking evil of you. Because you're in sin. Full of mercy. What's another attribute? What's another attribute when it says full of mercy? That someone deal with you. Stay with the topic. And trust me, hit me in the inbox. I'll help you out. But learn right now. Okay, because at this point, listen very closely. When it says full of mercy, what's an attribute of mercy? Someone is dealing with you on the street. Y'all share the video. Someone is dealing with you on the street. They're trying to help you to understand something. Or they're dealing with you in your personal life. And they're trying to help you to understand something. When it says full of mercy, what's an attribute of the mercy? Because mercy, they're going to let you live. They're not going to slay you with words, this, that, and the third. What's an attribute of mercy? Patience. Patience. Why? Because if you're dealing with somebody in sin, they're not going to understand. They just mentally deceive. They captured by Satan. Let's get that. You know what let me see it. I'm thinking fast. Bear with me, Israel. Let me find this precept.
2 Timothy 2:26.
Right, 2 Timothy 2:24. Read that. Start there.
This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 24. And the servant of the Lord must not strive, but be gentle unto all men, apt to teach, patient.
Patient. That's the mercy. Full of what? Full of mercy. Full of mercy. Go ahead.
Verse 25. In meekness, instructing those that oppose themselves.
Right, so they sinning. They sinning against themselves. So you serious in the scriptures. Okay, go ahead.
If God peradventure would give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth.
Go ahead.
And that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil, who are taken captive by him at his will.
That's right. Okay, so you dealing with somebody, you gotta be patient with them because they are already captive and don't know that they taken, man. Okay, read that. Let me read that part again. In verse 25,
in meekness, instructing those.
Right, with using the patience, instructing them, meaning teaching them, telling them. So it might take time to do so. It takes time. You're trying to explain it. Go ahead.
That oppose themselves, if God peradventure.
Right, because we don't know. We don't know. The Father might. If he do, they're going to repent. If he's going to accept their repentance, then they're going to, it says to give them repentance to the acknowledging of the truth. They're going to acknowledge that this is true and I'm wrong, and they're going to show forth the fruits of repentance. But if the Most High is not going to accept their repentance, he hardened their heart. Their heart going to be hardened, man. They're not going to repent. Either way, your job is like this. Either way, whatever they choose, your job is like this. Not like theirs. Not like what we're teaching against. So you got to know. Go ahead.
Verse 26. And that they may recover themselves.
That's right. So the whole purpose of bringing in James 4:17 is that they may recover themselves. So the whole purpose of bringing James 3:17, 17, so that you can be recovered. So nobody has the right to deal with you like that. Now remember, we're talking about scribes and Pharisees at that level. At that level. Okay? There are levels to where correction can get firm, but we're talking about you're meeting complete strangers, man. You're on the street, you meet complete strangers. They trying to meet and greet, this, that, and the third. This is how it's supposed to be. They know nothing about you. Okay? But if you say, for instance, that another note. Say, for instance, if you were an evil person. What's going to happen if you are an evil person? If you are an evil person, what did the Most High say is going to happen? Proverbs 17. Because some of you may sit at home and you like, well, this coming out, you want somebody to speak smooth unto you. No, you don't get it smooth. Why? Because you've been evil. So the spirit of the Most High is going to deal with you differently. Read.
This is Proverbs chapter 17 and verse 9. No.
17 and 11. Right.
An evil man seeketh only rebellion.
See that? An evil man seeketh only rebellion. So don't you think that the Father sees that you are constantly being wicked? You're constantly being evil? And that he has been dealing with you and dealing with you and dealing with you and correcting you. Go ahead.
Therefore, a cruel messenger.
What type of messenger?
A cruel messenger.
That's a different messenger than James 3:17. The spirit that's in that messenger is going to have a cruel disposition. That means the words are going to be what? Tough. You're going to get tough love. Yes, you're going to get tough love. You're going to get corrected. You're going to get corrected toughly, man. You're going to get wounded. Go ahead.
Shall be sent against him.
Shall be sent how?
Against him.
Yeah, going to be sent against you. You're going to feel like this messenger is what? Against you, man. You're going to feel like that. You know when the scriptures say faithful or what? The wounds of a friend? Right. So this person going to come in and they're going to use the scriptures, and using the scriptures and the tone of their voice and the countenance on their face, you're going to be wounded. It's different. So don't get twisted. Some of you like, oh, you see, you burning it up. You going from house to house, just burn a whole house down to the ground. 5-alarm fire. You expect the firemen to be like, see, don't play with matches. Did you learn over the last 8 houses that you burned up? Did you get it now? Don't play with matches. You're going to destroy your neighborhood. That's how some of you want to be talked to. You burned down 5 houses to the ground, none but ashes. The firemen, Did you see? Please don't. You can't play with matches. I keep telling you, Jimmy. You're gonna burn up another one. You get it yet? Jimmy lying through his teeth. Yeah, I get it. All right. So, let's lose all of that, man. What are we holding? Nothing at this point. Matthew 23. We was at John 10. Did we finish that? John 10 and 5. Read that.
This is St. John chapter 10 and verse 5. And a stranger will they not follow.
And a stranger will they not follow. So if somebody's supposed to, you're supposed to let somebody get up on you and convince and persuade you? The Lord said no. You're not to follow. Okay? Go ahead.
But will flee from him.
Right, the Lord said flee from them. Go ahead.
For they know not the voice of strangers.
Right. So you're not supposed to even learn and listen to them. All right. Now, Matthew chapter 23. We're going to be finishing up shortly so we can get out on time. It was my mistake that we started late. Matthew chapter 23 and verse 1. Read that.
This is Matthew chapter 23 and verse 1. Then spake Yahushua to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat.
Right, so this is something that confuses a lot of people. Right, because they're sitting in Moses' seat. What do? They speak about the laws. And some of them be profound in the law. They know it like the back of their hand. Yo, the scriptures say this, this, and this. The scriptures say this and this and this. The scriptures say this and this and this. Read the next one.
Verse 3. All therefore whatsoever they bid you, observe.
Right, so they come out the scriptures. Now, the scriptures say, as long as it's according to the scriptures, observe it. But know for sure now that our observation of these laws, statutes, and commandments is now through Yahushua. Why is that? It's through Yahushua. Go to St. John 1. In verse 17. Go ahead. Drag them a little bit.
This is St. John chapter 1 and 17. For the law was given by Moses.
Right, for the law was given by Moses. Go ahead.
But grace and truth came by Christ.
Right, so Christ brought in grace and truth. So it's through Christ now, because the penalty for breaking the laws under Moses was to be stoned, like we read earlier in John 8. Yeah, so if you had certain sins that was worthy of death, then you would have to be put to death to put that sin away from Israel. So be mindful when somebody is quoting the laws to you. You got to make sure that now that you understand how to observe that law through Christ now. Is it a situation to where, you got to be use grace as opposed to condemnation, and deal instead of hypocrisy, deal, in truth now. Because Israel was living lies instead of dealing in truth. They wasn't sincere. They were just hypocrites quoting precepts. Okay? But you're supposed to be able to know people by these same actions. And the more you apply, the more you're going to understand. The more you apply, the more you're going to understand. If you're not applying the commandments, you're going to be the first ones to accept somebody that's wicked. You'll just let them, when I say accept them, meaning you'll be willing to follow what they say. because you're breaking the laws. You'll be confused. You don't know. They might be more knowledgeable than you are. And still they're wrong because they break laws. They don't keep the commandments. So your best bet is to apply the scriptures. So while you're applying the scriptures and you learning, the Most High is going to then open up your understanding for you to understand good and evil, even in people. Okay? So now let's go back to Matthew chapter 23. Christ said, all whatsoever they bid you observe, that observe and do. Go ahead.
But do not ye after their works.
But do not ye after their works. So this is equivalent to people using the scriptures, but then they're breaking the laws. Okay? Let's see. We gotta chop this up a little bit. Verse 11.
Matthew chapter 23 and 11. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant.
He that is greatest among you shall be your servant. Go ahead.
And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased.
Right, so the greatest among you, the leaders, the scriptures say they have to be in your life like servants. Yeah, like servants. So I ask y'all a question, which is greater? Him that sit at meat or him that serve it? Him that sit at meat or him that serve it? No, you the one that sit at meat. If you go out to eat, don't you feel special? Don't you feel like you should get preferential favor? Don't you feel like you should be? No, it's the one that sit at meat. You understand? You're sitting at meat. Your food better be hot. You want a nice proportion. It better be savory looking. Do you expect some bad treatment? Huh? You expect a lot. People, they gotta really work to get that what? Begins with a T. They gotta work to get that tip. Right? Can they just treat you any type of way? Can they just, and we're offended when they come and serve us and don't do blank. They don't do what? They don't return. They serve you, they never come back. But they expect a tip. They treated you like you wasn't anything, like you wasn't special. So the person that sit at meat is the person that's special. They got to treat you with great hospitality. Tell you their name, ask you how you doing, how was the food, come back and check. Ask you, would you like a refill? How was the meal? Do you understand that? So now who's greater? He that sit at meat or he that serve it? Or him that serve it? The person that's sitting down at meat to eat. You understand? So now, we stop at Matthew chapter 23 and 12. Now verse 11. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. So now, whoever's, like say for instance myself. So I have to play the role of a servant to brothers and sisters to make sure that your needs are being met and not the other way around. You're making sure that my needs are being met. I'm the elder, you're catering to me. Now I got to make sure that your needs are being met. And the needs that need to be met is this soul food. You understand? How you doing with this? How you doing with that? You understand? Yo, well, what's going on with this and what's going on with that? When y'all have problems in your life, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, you married brothers with your wife, or with your children, or with your job. I don't ask you, brothers, well, what's going on with this and help you to try to solve these problems, so on and so forth. That's serving you. That's not just you in the truth but you're not having your needs served. Do you understand that? Y'all look confused. Who don't understand? Raise your hand. Don't be afraid. You understand that? Okay. So, let's get another precept to help this. Giving or receiving. Proverbs. Proverbs 27 and 23.
This is Proverbs chapter 27 and verse 23. Be thou diligent to know the state of thy flocks.
Right. Be thou diligent to know the state of the flocks. The flocks are talking about, the people. Go ahead.
And look well to thy herds.
Right. Look well to thy herds. Okay. So, as being leaders, being in leadership position, we have to be a service unto you. People that are in leadership position have to be a service unto you. Things do go wrong. Certain things you might not understand. Things are going wrong. This, that, and the third. You're looking for counsel. You're looking for advice. Well, brothers in leadership positions, they have to be able to service that need. Okay, so it wasn't like that with the Scribes and Pharisees. The Scribes and Pharisees, they had brothers working for them, but wasn't serving the people. So it's just like when you read Malachi, and the scriptures say that the priest's lips should keep knowledge and they should seek the law at his lips. They should seek the law at his mouth, for he is the messenger of the Lord. All right, so when we go back, this is just to show you, and what's that, Proverbs 27 and 23, that we have a job to be diligent to know the mental state. Okay, something going wrong with brothers. How's your wife? What's up? Well, this is what you're supposed to do. And teach the sisters, well, this is what you're supposed to do. Okay? That's Proverbs 27 and what's that? 27 and 23. 27 and 23. Right. So we'll be giving you counsel on relationship. Counsel on this, counsel on that, advice on this, advice on that. But the Scribes and Pharisees, they not like that. They wasn't doing that type of deal. They were selfish men. So remember when Christ had asked Peter, why you think he asked him, how much did he love him? And then he said, feed my sheep. So if the Scribes and Pharisees was feeding the sheep of the Lord, then why would he have to bring new people up and put them in a position to feed the people? Okay, so when you feed the people, you have to feed the people with compassion. Christ, he looked upon Israel, with compassion. And yeah, they were in sin. They looked at like sheep having no shepherd, man. Shepherd is somebody that's going to direct them, direct the flow, go this way and go that way. Okay, so let's go back to 23. Matthew chapter 23 and 11. But he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. So brothers got to be doing the work, helping households function, stay together, keep it together. Okay? Read the next one. Oh, no, verse 12. And whosoever shall exalt himself shall be abased. So if you know, for the men that exalt themselves without promotion from the Most High and not dealing with the body the way that this Christ is saying, he said they'll be brought down because they exalted themselves. They have vain glory. Most of the time that glory lies within how they look, verbal offices and statuses, things that they have pointed themselves to, and not the Most High. And he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. So Israel, you would have to humble yourself to applying the scriptures. Now, what scriptures? A lot of people want to know what scriptures, because I be saying, yo, you got to apply the scriptures, apply the scriptures. You know the things that come out while you've been corrected? Those are the scriptures that you'd have to apply yourself to. Things that somebody is telling you that you're doing wrong, it doesn't matter how small it is. You got to humble yourself to that, because what's happening with that little leaven that you let in? It's spreading. Now it's great wickedness. It leavened up the whole lump. Now your mind is swelled up to the point to where it's like, I don't have to do any of this. That's foolishness. Why would I do that? Verse 13, read that.
But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees.
Right, so people with that type of behavior, scribes and Pharisees, go ahead.
Hypocrites, for ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men.
Right, you shut up. How do they shut up the kingdom of heaven against men? What do you say? Just give it your thoughts. Yeah, you're not talking fast. There, say it.
They teach them the things that they're not keeping.
They'll teach them the things that they're not keeping. They shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. Anybody else? Josh, take us. Okay, go ahead.
They be so offensive that they turn people from the commandment. Like their actions cause people to be like, you know, they can't believe I want to do it.
Okay. Repeat that. I saw two things in what you said.
They actions that cause people to like walk away from it, to where it's shut up because they offend the way they offend them. They like they don't want them to do it. So with them not coming to the commandments of being taught because of them, then the kingdom.
That's one aspect of it. That's true, but there's another aspect of it. It has something to do with the actions. Okay, go ahead, y'all. Take a stab at it, the short version.
What I was gonna say was, like, a lot of men flock to him, right? And through them sinning and doing, like, the example with the men bringing a woman that was taken in adultery. That man they didn't bring because that man was one of their comrades. And that
speculation.
Okay.
This is court. Speculation.
Okay, so basically,
did somebody? Was it somebody motion?
so basically,
he's leading the witness.
so it's on a nutshell sin. All right, like the scribes and Pharisees, through sin and setting horrible examples, the men that they have in admiration will do the same things that they do, and because of it, they'll be condemned for it. So
the men that they have in admiration.
Yeah.
The scribes and Pharisees got men in admiration?
Of them. See,
okay.
Their followers. They set
their
horrible
followers.
Examples. Yeah. They set horrible examples and causing men to sin against the Most High through their actions and their bad examples. And the kingdom will get shut up because the Most High ain't no respectful person. He gonna destroy them and destroy the man that's following.
Matthew 15, right. Matthew 15 and 14.
This is Matthew 15 and 14. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind.
They're blind leaders. And they do have followers. There are brothers out here that do have blind followers. They blind leaders. All right? And so when you read Matthew 23, and it says, "For ye shut up the kingdom of heaven against men," meaning you stop brothers from going in it. They ain't going to make it because they following you. For ye neither go in yourselves, neither suffer them that are entering to go in. So when you see brothers like that, Israel, you got to follow these precepts, man. You got to leave these dudes alone. Okay? They taking the name of the Father in vain. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. That make you right, brother? Oh, man. Read the next one. So now we back at Matthew 23 and 14. Go ahead.
Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites.
Right. Judgment is unto you because you're a hypocrite. Quick to say, but will not do it. Go ahead.
For ye devour widows' houses.
Devour widows' houses. Yeah. How do you think they devour widows' houses? They burglarize the house. They take the children on field trips. How do they devour those women's houses, man? They deal with these women physically. The women is left alone. There's no guy. Just because a woman is single does not give the man a right to move in and say, hey, this woman's vulnerable. There's no man here. She doesn't belong to nobody. I can deal with her. And there's no law against it. And it's nothing you can say. Christ said you devouring a woman's house, man. Because remember, when a man comes together with a woman, they are what? They're what? Say it loud, man. They are one flesh. And these men know that they're not interested in actually the preservation and building and spiritual health and welfare of this woman. The one flesh with her. You can't give her, you can't build her spirit and be there like the person that left that loved them, but they happen to, now they're deceased. You can't, you ain't interested in that like that, man. You ain't, the spirit ain't there, man. You out the one thing. You was curiosity. And once your curiosity fulfilled, now you got a whole human being that you got to be trying to provide and take care of. You ain't trying to do that. That's why the scripture say you just messed this woman up, man. You just confused her whole mind, man. She messed around, walk away and go into the world. Then you, well, if she went into the world, it was meant to. No, she's trying to run from your scrutiny, from your wickedness, your hypocrisy, your destruction, your wrath. So, brother, men are like that. Hypocrites. They devour widows' houses, man. Okay. Is that it? Go ahead.
And for a pretense, make long prayer.
Right, and they know how to pray too. So look at all these attributes they have. They can pray. They're leaders. Go ahead.
Therefore, ye shall receive the greater damnation.
You don't receive the kingdom. The scriptures say they get the greater condemnation. Okay? We're going to stop it. I'm going to stay to my word. Sorry.
Can we get 15?
Of course.
So,
I'll let you 15, get it.
It says, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, for ye compass sea and land. So what is the sea? Who's in the sea and the land? The people. But what kind of people? Israel that's sinning. So a lot of times you'll see brothers when the scribes and Pharisees, when they see other brothers out teaching or even like what was coming out doing the work, they're compassed the sea and land that's full of Israel that need to be taught. You know what I'm saying? And they won't teach them. It says to make one proselyte, so they'll find a brother that they see that they can control. So they won't deal with the mass wickedness that Israel is in. They look for somebody that's going to straight follow what they want to teach, follow what they tell them. It says, and when he is made, ye make him to be twofold more the child of hell than yourself. So, and when they find those brothers, they cause them to be worse than them. You know what I'm saying? So that, I just want to get that.
Right, because they don't teach follow the Most High. They teach brothers to do what? Follow man. And that's horrible right there when you teach men to follow men and to fear men. You gotta teach brothers to follow the Most High. So these are all things that help you to identify the Scribes and Pharisees. So we'll get a couple more. Let's see. Verse 23.
Verse 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithe of mint and amiss, and coming, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith. These ought ye had to have done, and not leave the other undone. Right,
so he found that they would pay tithe, but they were paying tithe of, you have beasts too, but they were paying tithe of herbs, but then turn around and omit weightier matters of the law. The first thing he said was judgment. So if they knew that the adulterer and the adulteress supposed to have been put to death, why let the man escape? So how did they feel about judgment? They were partial in the law. That's why James, the 3rd chapter, talk about without partiality. Okay? So then here it says mercy. You can't omit mercy. You can't admit when someone should live, when someone should get a pass, when someone needs to be taught, when someone needs correction instead of being stoned. And faith. You admit teaching, faith building. These are you ought to have done. So Scribes and Pharisees, they don't do this. One judgment that they do not bring forth, they don't judge one another. They might accuse each other, but they excuse each other. The scripture say after the first and second admonition reject. They don't put each other out. First Corinthians 5 teaches us that if any brother be a fornicator, an idolater, or a railer, with such a one know not to eat. They don't judge. But it's like all the adulterers and all the fornicators and all the railers, they bundle up together and they create a sect. And that's how they roll. But they don't judge one another. Nor have mercy, the merciless. One of the attributes of mercy was patience, because you got to be slow to speak, swift to hear, slow to wrath and anger, and you got to have respect. Neither do they teach faith. Neither do they bring in the faith of the Most High. And faith comes by what? Hearing. And how could someone hear you if they offended in you? These ought ye to have done. So these things are being left undone. And when you see these things, are left undone, that's when you have to walk away. And not to have left, and not to leave the other undone. Blind guides will strain at a net and swallow a camel. One small thing about you they notice, but something huge about them, don't even talk about it. I said this wasn't about the situation, and it's truly not. But you see the camel that the brothers, all the camels that they swallowed, that prophesying, they said, oh, okay, I don't have my fringes on either. Oh yes, don't even mention that we're out here. Swallow a camel. That's a big freaking deal. Being out in the midst of that situation, just hanging. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you may clean the outside of the cup and the platter, meaning you appear to be righteous, but within are full of what? Extortion and excess. Excess of what? Sin. Yeah, excess of sin. Any sin. Thou blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and are all uncleanness. Meaning men like that have destroyed a lot of different people. Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men, but within you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous. Meaning you're the reason why. You know, when you garnish something, you make it full of certain things. Like we see by the roadsides, the makeshift graves and the crosses with candles and teddy bears and stuff like that. Well, the hypocrites, they're the ones that they're the reason why, people come to put teddy bears and stuff like that, not teaching the laws and killing the prophets themselves. So y'all can finish reading this on your own, okay? We'll shut it down. Matthew 26. Any questions? Sorry we had to cut this short for real because it's actually a good topic. It's the type of topic to where, see, most of you, if you haven't ran into a situation like that, or run into a situation where somebody say what they don't do, then you won't understand. And you got to make sure that you don't end up being the type of person to where you say, but then you won't do it. If you're breaking the laws and you're a hypocrite, then that's the status that you're going to fall into. All right, Matthew chapter 26 and 6. Now when Christ was in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste? For this ointment might have been sold for much and given to the poor. When Yahushua understood it, he said unto them, why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought the good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me you have not always. For in that shall pour this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, whatsoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also be done this woman have told for a memorial of her. So all praises to the Most High for giving the sister the spirit to come forth, keep the commandments of the Lord, and bring forth a beautiful example of repentance. which are broken and contrite heart. Okay? No. No communion if you fasted. 1 Corinthians 11 and 23. For I received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Yahushua, the same night in which he was betrayed, took bread, and when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, Take, eat, this is my body which is broken for you. This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me. For as often as you eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he come. Wherefore, whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord. For let a man examine himself, so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily, eateth and drinketh damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep. For if we will judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. So all praises to the Most High for giving us the spirit to come here to learn what the will of the Most High is and keep his commandments. All right, so everybody, I want you to open up your calendar. Let's see. Week 2, 3rd. So, anybody got the date on the next new moon? Which one is it? The 11th that evening? All right. So, the next new moon is the 11th at even. Why somebody put that on? Oh, okay. The 11th, August 11th at evening. That's the next new moon. So, Most High will it, we expect to be back out the weekend of the 17th, August 17th. So you got 3 weeks. So do everything you possibly can to, that's all that's left. So, I'm saying August the 17th. That's 3 weeks from now. Set this to your, set your schedule. My brother Snoop, do what you gotta do. Try and get some extra funds. Set them aside. We'll see. Oh, and also, what's today's date? 24th. We gotta get the flyers before the end of the month. So maybe we can go tomorrow so that we're not in the jam by tomorrow. No, we got them the end of last month, on the last day. And then the following day, we could have went and got more, but we didn't. So now this month is going to be over. So we need to get them. And we don't need to wait till the last minute. So let's try and use tomorrow to do it. That way it's done. It's over. No more waiting till the last minute because yeah. All right. Most high in the name of Christ, thank you for the food and drink. Amen.
Amen.
This is body which is broken for you. This is blood. Israel, we do this communion live so that you can see all believing Israelites in Christ should be taking communion according to 1 Corinthians 11 and 23. The Most High and Yahweh Shai commanded Israel to do it. Yahweh, what's up, brother? Shalom. Okay, Israel, stay around for the prayers. We're going to stand and face Jerusalem, okay? Okay, Israel.
If every man was just like me, what kind of sanctuary would this be?
Matthew 6 and 9. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
The laborer's prayer, Luke 10 and 2. Therefore said he unto them, the harvest truly is great, but the laborers are few. Pray therefore the Lord of the harvest that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. Bless you, Most High King of heaven and earth, and all things Most High, in the name of Christ. Send more disciples and teachers to your harvest, to gather your people Israel, and send counsel behind your laws to stand before the people Israel. Give to us strength to break down our lives with that word. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Blessing of Israel, Numbers chapter 6 and 24. Children of Israel, the Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Amen.
Children of Israel, bless one another.
Most High in the name of Christ, bless you all. That's all right.
What time you bus call? All right, hey brothers, I want to talk to y'all before we go. What's up, brother Russell? Shalom, man. Man, what's up, sister? Lilia, Shalom. I'm gonna let y'all go. I gotta deal with the congregation. Most High Christ bless. Anybody need me? Any questions? Hit me up on the inbox, okay? Make sure that you will also share the video. What's up, brother Harold? Shalom, Hezekiah. What's up, brother Sean? Ahava, Shalom, sis. What's up, William? What's up, Jay? Miss Tia, how you doing, sister? All praises to the Most High. You have a blessed evening, okay? All right, y'all. Shalom.